I'm going to do something I normally don't do here. A movie review.
That's Hooey Valley, Hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking pan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good, where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck, you may be Donald Duck. Hooray for Hollywood. Hollywood, Hollywood. Hooray for
Bob Odenkirk stars in the brand new movie Nobody. I went to see it Friday night with my wife, and I have to tell you, it was the return of toxic masculinity. I am not kidding you. You have got to see this movie.
There's a long dormant piece of me that so very badly wants out.
What are you still doing here, old man?
I'm gonna f you up.
Bob plays an ordinary guy named Hutch Mansell. His house is broken into, and he fails to physically protect his family from the intruders, which upsets his teenage son. This mounting frustration and anger builds within Hutch to the point he decides to set the record straight, and we find out he's got a past. And oh, what a past he has. In fact, it is a past of doing the very things that we're now going to see him do in Nobody. And in one scene, I don't want to play spoiler here, he does say to, shall we say, a couple of individuals who have met their demise at his hands that he just was trying to live the quiet suburban life. He corrected, and now he sees that he overcorrected. I absolutely love this movie. I will be going back to see it again. Now, this is not the typical movie review. That's not what I do. But there is a reason I want to review this particular movie. First of all, go back to the movie theaters. I become increasingly concerned that the longer we allow this mandate madness to affect us, we, even those of us who don't go along with so much of this insane madness, we are being caught up in playing the game to the point we are contributing to the radical change of our own culture. And I am concerned that the concept of going out to the movies may become a thing of the past, something that we only see in old nostalgic movies or period movies. You know, a couple going on a date to the movies, because now you can stream everything. You just watch it at home. Again, it's more techno segregation. Ooh, did I really just say that? Yes, I did. It's more about keeping us apart, because when we get together, we misbehave. We do things we're not supposed to do, like talk without masks on, and we, interact with each other. So that said, get back to the movies. Even if there's something that you want to see and they're showing it at the theater and you can go, but they're also streaming it, go to the theater. First of all, the movie theaters need your business. Second of all, you need a return to normalcy. And the more we do this, the more it puts pressure on the other states. Open up, let this happen. Commercial airliners, they're full again. I mean, there's no more dearth of passengers going on commercial flights. Now, if passengers can sit next to each other, literally on top of each other, without any social distancing, and don't tell me that they're all keeping their masks on the whole time, because they aren't, especially if they're eating and drinking, we have to push back on this nonsense. If People can sit next to each other on jet planes. They can sit next to each other in movie theaters and at ballparks and arenas and venues. We must push back on this. That's one reason why I want you to go see this movie. The other reason I want you to see it, I'm so excited Hollywood actually made and released this movie, because you talk about going against the grain right now in this new cancel culture that we find ourselves in this venue of the Academy Awards redrafting all of the things that you've got to do now to even remotely be considered for an Academy Award. You got to have X number of females, X number of minority or unrepresented groups and storylines, etc., etc., etc. Now, certainly we know that a movie like Nobody is not a contender to win an Academy Award for Best Acting, Best Writing, etc. Maybe, I don't know, action or, some type of technical aspect. Great soundtrack. I love oldies. I'm an oldies DJ. I love when movies put in oldies music and they do it right. There's a scene where Bob Odenkirk springs back into action as his old self on board a CTA bus, and there is a great action scene, and they play a real old Steve Lawrence pop standard ballad from the early 1960s, I Gotta Be Me. It is awesome. I mean, whoever put this together, as far as not simply the director and the producer, but the person that had the vision to sit down and edit this and put the soundtrack together, masterful job. In a recent interview, Bob Odenkirk said that he actually spent 2 years getting ready for this movie, that he went to the gym and he got himself physically active. He said he spent 25 years as a comedy writer. At one time, he was a sketch writer for Saturday Night Live, and of course, now he is the star of Better Call Saul, which, by the way, I love that series. I had never watched Breaking Bad when it was actually on television. My kids did. They loved it. They told me, Dad, you got to watch it. I finally, during the beginning of the pandemic, when literally none of us could go anywhere, I started to watch Breaking Bad. Got into the series, but I really got into this character that came on toward the end of the series, the attorney, Saul. And then when I realized he had his own spin-off show, I said, I got to watch it. I enjoy Better Call Saul much better than I did Breaking Bad. Love the series. They're getting ready for the final season. But Bob said that he took 2 years, seriously, dragging himself to the gym and making himself get ready for this, because he wanted to do the stunts and the action scenes. He didn't just want to be the fill-in for the body double who would come in and do the action stuff. He wanted to do it, and he knew that it needed to look believable. That he's an ordinary guy. He's not an Arnold. He's not ripped and built. Hats off to this guy. And again, the fact that they made this movie and released it now, and the fact that it has taken #1 at the box office, and I realize right now that's not all that hard to do with so many cinemas still closed, but still, again, and I appreciate the fact that the studio that released this movie is only released it to the theaters. I'm sure in the next few weeks it's going to start popping up on the streaming services, but kudos to them for making sure that if you want to see this movie initially, you've got to actually get your backside to a movie theater, buy a ticket, buy a bucket of popcorn, sit down, and watch it like normal human beings used to see movies. I cannot tell you, I left that theater euphoric and with hope. Now, this isn't exactly my wife's type of, idea of a fun date night movie, but she enjoyed the movie. That's saying a lot right there. And I think she loved the fact that the effect it had on me, not from its cinematic style or anything that you would hear in the normal movie review. I left there with some hope. These last few weeks, you watch it, what we've been seeing canceled. The Muppets are canceled because they're racist. Dr. Seuss being canceled. Everything is just absolutely being obliterated by this new snowflake cancel culture. Mr. Potato Head got castrated. And we have people now having to apologize for things they said 15 years ago. Watch my lips. I apologize for nothing. I don't know what could possibly be found about me, but let's just go ahead and get that out of the way right now. I'm not sorry. First of all, I didn't do anything to you directly, so it doesn't affect you. Don't pretend like it does. And did I say things that were inappropriate when I was a young, dumb teenager? Isn't that the definition of young, dumb teenager? They say stupid things that later in life they regret. There, are we covered now? Because that's it. I just saw Jay Leno is now apologizing for jokes he used to tell. Hey, Jay, learn a lesson. Even though you've issued an apology, if they decide they want to come after you, they're coming after you, and they don't give a flying flip about the apologies that you're making now. So you know what? Stop apologizing. Just stop. You said it at the time. It was funny. People didn't get outraged over it. It fit the time. If you want to say something like, okay, certain jokes don't age as well as others. I'm sorry about that. Move on with your life. This is ridiculous. So in this cancel culture of we can't have toxic masculinity, here comes a movie that is toxic masculinity on steroids. And then finally, so many of the new action movies that they're making, it's so much CGI, you're not really watching actors do anything. You're basically watching a glorified video game. But even in that, a lot of action sequences are being done, here we go, by females. And no, I'm not sexist. And I'm not saying that females can't do an action sequence, but let's get real here, shall we? Number one, not just any female can do an action sequence. There has to be something about that particular female that would make it believable for her to be able to pull off that type of action. Secondly, the reason female action flicks do not do well, Hollywood, listen to me. This is not your stereotypical right-leaning, bigoted, sexist rant. I'm going to tell you about the human psyche, because I actually am an ordained pastor. I do understand something about human psychology. First of all, action flicks usually appeal more to men than to women. That said, your target audience are young males, middle-aged males, and just past middle-aged males. We like action flicks. We like to sit down and watch movies that don't require a lot of, I gotta think it through. Now, I like movies like that, and there are times I'm really in the mood for movies like that. I love the fact that the producers of John Wick did this series. Now, they actually take a little time to set a story where John Wick, it just like, action hits you in the face in the first 30 seconds, and then it's nonstop. You don't even get to come up for air. I happen to like that. Now, is that something I watch every night? No. I actually watch a wide variety of movies, and I do from time to time. We'll even watch a chick flick with my wife. Are we allowed to say that in this new cancel culture? Are we allowed to identify that it's okay that men like certain types of movies that women don't care for and vice versa? Is that okay to just be truthful and admit that? But in the human psyche, guys not only tend to like action flicks more, but guys, when they watch movies, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We tend to wander and daydream a little bit as we watch and we see ourselves in the storyline. Was I not supposed to give that away? So if guys who like action flicks see an action flick and all the females are doing the action, they have a hard time seeing themselves in the storyline. Ta-da! And if the only thing you let the guys be in those action flicks is the villain getting their backsides kicked, you're not going to do so hot at the box office. This business where they say, well, action movies are just not doing well with female leads because men are so sexist. It's not that. That's not the issue. And again, most females aren't really into action flicks. And those that are going to see the guy on the screen that they wish was their boyfriend or their husband or their significant other. Can we just finally admit the obvious? That's the reason I am so excited about the movie Nobody.
Who the are you?
Me? I'm nobody.
This movie was done right. Get to a theater and see it.